An interview with Akira Toriyama was released in the Jump magazine, and it was translated by Kenziro on Twitter, which gives us new information about the original Super Saiyan God. Question from the interviewer: is the legendary Super Saiyan that Frieza spoke of and the Super Saiyan God that was mentioned in the Battle of the Gods movie the same person? As this is Akira speaking, in a way, they're indeed the same person. Well, a long time ago, before Saiyans were living on planet Vegeta, and there was a Saiyan with a righteous heart, a man named Yamoshi, who with his 5 friends turned against everyone and were then cornered by other warriors, resulting in him becoming a Super Saiyan for the first time, which surprised the other Saiyans because the transformation led him to display a terrifying way of battle. After a while, Yamoshi ran out of energy and was defeated after being overwhelmed by the large number of his opponents, and thus it gave birth to his legend. Afterwards, his soul wandered in search for 6 Saiyans with a righteous heart, looking for a new savior, the Super Saiyan God. Toribot pointing at the box, and he says, and the Super Saiyan God that Beerus was looking for was? Beerus reacted to Yamoshi's spirit and caught the information in his dream about the prophecy. Furthermore, this legend was mentioned in the Namekian Book of Legends because the Elder Namekian responded to Yamoshi's soul at that time. Now, this is very interesting. This is the story of the first Super Saiyan ever. This guy Yamoshi, the original Super Saiyan, the legendary Super Saiyan God. Basically, he was in a huge fight with a bunch of others. It doesn't clarify whether or not those others that he was battling were Saiyans, but he did some serious damage, and eventually he ran out of power and was defeated, and he died. But then his soul wandered through the universe looking for 6 Saiyans with righteous hearts, but it doesn't sound like actual Super Saiyan God as a form was ever achieved during that time. It was just something that Beerus dreamt of because of Yamoshi's wandering soul. But this is kind of interesting because if they decide to play with this story in Dragon Ball Super, we could see Yamoshi in the future. We could see some backstory, maybe some next level for Goku. I mean, there's a lot of detail that they could really go into with Yamoshi if they want to. I mean, he's a righteous Saiyan like Goku, so he's not going to be like a villain in the future, but I could see him maybe giving Goku a power boost in the future or something like that if they ever decided that they wanted to go in that direction. I could also see a special being created, like a Dragon Ball Super 1-hour special, or even the Dragon Ball Super 2018 movie may have something to do with this. They could really go into detail and show us more about this guy named Yamoshi, who sounds very interesting and his story sounds epic. I want to see it. This right here is Yamoshi. In the Dragon Ball Z Battle of the Gods movie, as Goku is turning into Super Saiyan God for the very first time, we do get a glimpse of Yamoshi. He looks very similar to Vegeta. He's wearing the Saiyan armor. I mean, it looks almost exactly like Vegeta, but that is not Vegeta. That is Yamoshi. And his soul enters Goku, giving Goku the Super Saiyan God, because that's what Yamoshi's soul has been wandering the universe looking for. So there could potentially be Yamoshi inside Goku or something like that. Hopefully we get some more explanations about this. Back when Vegeta first spoke about the original Super Saiyan, it showed him as a Super Saiyan Great Ape who looked incredibly menacing and terrifyingly powerful. Here he is literally holding groups of people, and you would think that in this case he was actually just terrorizing innocent people as a Saiyan without control. But it appears here that he was actually fighting for the side of good, and with his 5 friends, they were basically taking on, I believe, as a bunch of other Saiyans. Now, Vegeta's original story doesn't really match up exactly, but there's no way really for Vegeta to know exactly what happened. All he knows is that the legends that are told to Saiyans about the original Super Saiyan. This guy must have been taking on hundreds of thousands of people. I mean, a Super Saiyan Great Ape like that should have the destructive power to take on anyone that comes his way. Whether or not they were actually Saiyans is debatable. There's actually another translation for this interview that says that he was fighting against the evil Saiyans, but if you take a look at this picture, they're throwing spears, and I don't know any Saiyan that throws a spear. Now, we also get some really interesting information about what is called S cells. So let's go ahead and read this. Question was asked to Akira Toriyama, can anyone become a Super Saiyan if they train? And Toriyama says, it's not like anyone can become a Super Saiyan through training and anger. In order to become Super Saiyan, one's body must contain something called S cells. Once these S cells reach a certain amount, a trigger of anger will explosively increase the S cells and cause a change in the body. That's Super Saiyan. Most Saiyans have some S cells, although not a great quantity. The reason why Goku and Vegeta's children can become Super Saiyan relatively easily is probably because due to their current extent, they inherited a lot of S cells, and also because Earth's environment is gentler and easier to live than planet Vegeta. Maybe cauliflower is overflowing with S cells. And how does one increase S cells to become a Super Saiyan? Having a gentle spirit is the best way to greatly increase one's S cells, but most Saiyans have trouble with this, which I think is why no Super Saiyans have appeared for such a long time and they became the stuff of legend. However, one can't reach the quantity necessary for becoming a Super Saiyan simply by having a gentle spirit, so a certain amount of battle power is indeed necessary. Looked at in this light, it's easy to see why becoming a Super Saiyan came so easily for Goku. He was able to become Super Saiyan thanks to inheriting a lot of S cells. A gentle heart plus high battle power resulted in Super Saiyan. So this is kind of interesting, this S cells, like I guess S for Saiyan or super cells maybe. This entire concept is really interesting because they can be inherited, meaning that basically in your family tree, the more Saiyans there are, then future descendants, it's even easier for them to become Super Saiyans, you would believe. But just because they have more S cells passed down from all those generations doesn't necessarily mean that they can become a Super Saiyan. They still have to have a high battle power in order to do so, and a gentle spirit makes it even easier on top of that. This explains why 1, Pan is so strong, and why 2, even half-breed Saiyans and even less descendants of that, even less than half-breeds, as Gohan has a baby and then Pan has a baby, that percentage of Saiyan is going to keep diminishing. However, the amount of S cells in their body must keep rising as those S cells are passed down, meaning that even if they're 1% Saiyan, they still have a really good chance of being able to turn into a Super Saiyan. That's what I would assume based on this new evidence. Now, what does this all mean? Putting all of this together with the interview and the new information about the S cells and Yamoshi, does this really change anything for Dragon Ball Super? Well, not necessarily. Usually when these interviews happen with Toriyama, it's more of just something that researchers and Dragon Ball historians can use as evidence for future points and theories moving forward, and it's a source to kind of explain some things for us and answer some questions that we've had over time. For example, a lot of people have theorized that the reason that Trunks and Goten were able to turn into a Super Saiyan so easily was because somehow Goku and Vegeta passed the Super Saiyan along in the genetics. And it turns out that that actually is the case somewhat. That because Goku and Vegeta have so much S cells built up in their body from constant, transforming and increasing their power and everything, then yeah, it did actually pass down to Goten and Trunks, which is why they're so strong and why they are able to turn Super Saiyan at ages 7 and 8. I guess this actually is as well another explanation as to why Caulifla and the Universe 6 Saiyans are able to transform so easily. They have an incredible amount of S cells in their body, making it incredibly easy for them to transform and to go through all these transformations. Additionally, they also evolve differently, and that has a lot of connotations on its own. I really like this interview, and it definitely provides some interesting concepts. I'm really hoping that we actually get an explanation or some more story about Yamoshi, the original Super Saiyan. I guess you can call him the original Super Saiyan God, even though this interview didn't specifically say that he attained God level, which is something that we always thought. We always thought that the original Super Saiyan God actually was a Super Saiyan God, but it looks like from this interview that he died as a Super Saiyan. So his soul is kind of like a Super Saiyan God in a way, but he never actually physically became Super Saiyan God form. Very interesting stuff, guys. Let me know your thoughts below, and I will be talking to you very soon with another Dragon Ball video.